What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Blank Online here today to chat with you more about some Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. But before I get any further in this video, 97% of you guys watching the video right now are not subscribed to the channel. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure you click that subscribe button to be kept up to date on everything to do with Black Ops Cold War, Warzone Season 6 and more. Without further ado, let's get into the video. The community is on fire and skill-based matchmaking is the cause. Remove skill-based matchmaking was trending on Twitter in the United States yesterday, and a lot of people are complaining, pro players and everyone, saying that skill-based matchmaking has no place in Call of Duty and has no place in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Now, this has been a topic that we've covered many times on the channel, and the general consensus comes really back to the same point over and over again. The fact that skill-based matchmaking doesn't necessarily need to be in Call of Duty, but there's no real reason why they would remove it. Some interesting news has come out overnight from a Treyarch developer that says that Call of Duty games have had skill-based matchmaking the whole time. Games like Black Ops 2 have had skill-based matchmaking, which makes sense in a way, but it was implemented in Black Ops 2 in a way that it wasn't as big of a parameter than it has been in, say, Modern Warfare 2019, and I think that's something that we need to understand. I think a lot of people look at skill-based matchmaking as a switch, and as a switch that can be turned either on or off, and this Treyarch developer just sort of confirms the fact that that's not necessarily the case. It's a parameter within matchmaking that can be tuned either higher or lower. In games like Black Ops 2, you would argue that the tuning and the dial, let's say if we look at it as a dial, the dial for skill-based matchmaking was lower, whereas in Modern Warfare 2019, you could say the dial for skill-based matchmaking was turned up to the absolute fucking maximum. In Black Ops Cold War Alpha, I definitely noticed skill-based matchmaking being there to a certain extent. After playing a couple of games, and then I sort of got the Modern Warfare 2019 effect, where I played 5 games, and then I got to the point where I felt like the opposition I was coming up against was more and more, I guess, fine-tuned and I guess better players than I was coming up against recently. And I think that, as well as that, I didn't feel it as much as I felt it in Modern Warfare 2019. I see a lot of people on Twitter saying, oh, skill-based matchmaking is there, skill-based matchmaking is this, skill-based matchmaking is that, I'm not doing well because of skill-based matchmaking. I also believe that in a lot of cases, people use skill-based matchmaking as a boogeyman of sorts, as sort of like a way to excuse their performance in game. If you're not having a good game, you just tie it down to skill-based matchmaking rather than the fact that you're just not having a good game. And while I do understand the point that skill-based matchmaking is in the Black Ops Cold War Alpha, I don't think it's as strong as people think it is. I don't think the dial is turned as high as people want to believe it is. And I guess we haven't had any concrete information, and we haven't played this game for as long as, say, we've played Modern Warfare 2019, so we can't really gauge or have any data or statistics as to the system being there and how it works like we could have had, say, if we had the full game. We're sort of just making opinions based off of playing the game, which is a good sort of way to gauge whether or not the game has skill-based matchmaking or not, I guess, without having any cold hard evidence. But in my personal opinion, I just think that while yes, I do see that it is in the game, and I do see that there's some element of skill-based matchmaking in the alpha, I don't know if Treyarch would turn the dial all the way up for an alpha. I think the idea of the alpha is for people to jump on the game, play around with the weapon so that they can fine-tune, find glitches for the beta, and then once the beta hits, do the same thing. Once the full game hits and everything's sort of fine-tuned as much as it can be, that's when they'll turn the dial on skill-based matchmaking. Whether they turn it all the way up, or they turn it in the middle or down, whatever that may be, is up to their discretion, it seems, as a result of this news coming out from a Treyarch developer. I also think it's not helpful to hate on and bag and sort of really abuse Treyarch developers on Twitter and social media and that sort of stuff. I think what we need to do instead of doing that is to sort of just give constructive criticism and just sort of have a civil conversation, rather than saying, oh, you're shit, or you're a fucking idiot for putting skill-based matchmaking in this game, and you're this and you're that. Just take a step back, take a breather, and then just give constructive criticism, because that's what the alpha's for, and that's what the beta is going to be for. These periods where we get to play the game early before release are so that we can give our opinions, and so that we can give our criticisms, our constructive criticisms to the developers, so that they can go away and they can fix the game, or fix the problems, or fine-tune the issues that we had with the game. So for example, the AK-74U is the best weapon in the game at this point in time, in my opinion. So giving that opinion to the Treyarch developers, so that in the beta or in the final game, the 74U can be fine-tuned. It's, in terms of skill-based matchmaking, it's funny that we can make so many videos about it. We can make so many I guess videos explaining the consequences of skill-based matchmaking, and why it's not a good thing for video games, and why in particular it's not a good thing for Call of Duty. And it's been here the whole, and to know that it's been here the whole time since Black Ops 2, and potentially even before that, is crazy. But the thing I do want to add as well is, I don't think it's been in Black Ops 2 in the way that it's been in previous games. I think there's always been a sense of skill-based team balancing. Remember when you go into games and the matchmaking would say, we need to find more players to balance the teams. I think that's the aspect of skill-based matchmaking that has always been in Call of Duty. The idea that if you're performing well in a lobby, you will be put against players who haven't performed well, so that they can either get a win, or the teams can be balanced in that way, whatever that may be. So that you're not always coming against players on the other team that are dog shit, and you can just tramp on them. That idea of skill-based matchmaking has always been there, and I don't necessarily see the problem in that. Well, I do, but I don't necessarily see the harm in that, because we've dealt with it before, and we've dealt with that idea before. We've known it's there, and it still hasn't deterred from our enjoyment of a game. Skill-based matchmaking now obviously is very different. And I think that whole idea of parameters and tunable parameters and turning the dial and that sort of stuff has changed the way skill-based matchmaking works, based on how hard the developers want skill-based matchmaking to affect the overall matchmaking experience. Just like in Modern Warfare 2019, where you get match made against players on the other side of the world with poor connections compared to yours, and you still play that game anyway, because skill-based matchmaking finds that skill rating before finding connection rating, and that's how high the parameters have been tuned for Modern Warfare 2019. We're just gonna have to wait and see how it's tuned in Black Ops Cold War. There's no doubting that it's there, but just whether or not how high that parameter is in the alpha, and how high that parameter will be for the final game as well. There's no doubt that skill-based matchmaking is going to be in this game. I don't think anyone's naive enough to believe that skill-based matchmaking will be completely removed. I think that what we can sort of hope, and what we can sort of give to the Treyarch developers in terms of feedback, is to just dial it down. Dial it down to where it's, I guess, team skill-based matchmaking, if that makes sense, where teams get balanced based off skill, rather than your initial lobby gets found based on skill before connection. So do connection over skill first in order to find that initial lobby, and then you can sort of look at skill as a parameter to balance the teams. And I think that way is the best way to go about it. That's all I have for you guys today. Leave a like if you enjoy. Comment down below, what do you think of skill-based matchmaking in the Black Ops Cold War Alpha, if you've played it, and what do you think of skill-based matchmaking as a whole? I'd love to have a chat with you guys in the comment section. Click subscribe if you're new here so you don't miss out on my next video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.